So once you get to the point where you are ready to start painting the sky, I first want you to go through and research sunrises, sunsets, see what actually looks realistic, because the one thing we're going to stay away from is putting a sunshine in the corner with spikes coming out. We want this to look as realistic as possible. So in the previous video, we looked at several different projects that had really great skies. We know that there are several projects up on the board right now that have good skies. So for this project, you're going to be using, or rather this part of the project, watercolor paints. You want to make sure that you are actually getting these wet. These are cakes, so when you touch them, they might be a little bit sticky, but they're not going to actually work unless you get them wet. So I've got my water here, which you can't really see. I've got my paints here, and again, you want this to look realistic. So first thing I'm gonna do is go ahead and get this really wet. And I did just go through and refill all these, so you should not have a problem at all with the paints that are in there. I'm gonna go ahead and start out with some yellow. If you're painting with this and it doesn't look kind of transparent, if it looks real thick with color, you probably need to redo this again. Now you notice I did not make a big circle, okay? And I'm gonna keep painting kind of like as we go around the color wheel. So yellow into orange, orange into red, red into violet, that kind of thing. The other thing is I really don't want to make a bullseye. So even though I'm adding this orange in here, by the way guys, I just realized I'm painting on the wrong side, but we're gonna go ahead and go with this. It'll work better on yours. So I'm adding this orange in, but I'm not making a bullseye. Lots of water. And you can see on here it's even kind of shiny. Oop, gotta get some more water on that paint. So mine has a lot of orange in it right now. If you want to do more of a nighttime sky, you just would not have, you know, yellow and orange obviously. Now I lost quite a bit of my yellow, so I'm actually going to go back in and I'm going to add some yellow back in. This should be a lot easier on yours because, like I said, I just realized I was doing this on the wrong side. So now I've got a little yellow-orange working on in there, not just my orange. If you find that when you are doing this, you have like big lines where it's not really blending together, because you really want it to blend together, you can always go back through and just add a little bit of just plain water and it'll blend it back out. So I want to really focus on getting the colors that I see in the sky. Obviously this is more of like a bright time in the sky. If you want to do this to where it's more of a darker time with black in the sky, you can do that, but you would not have yellow and black in the sky at the same time. All right, so there's kind of that part. I'm going to turn this around so you can see. If you do end up with paint on your table, you're just going to want to wipe it up so that we keep our area clean. Please make sure you rinse your brush in between dipping it into paints. We don't want to leave our paints messy. Again, this would work so much better if I had just started painting on the right side. You guys all have your drawings on the correct side, so it should not be a problem at all for you with what I just did. You shouldn't have this problem. I'm going to toss a little bit of violet in here. Whoops, that was actually blue. Now the violet's going to be really kind of dark if you do it on its own. So you want to kind of make sure it gets some of that red mixed in there. Yours does not have to look just like mine. That's why you want to research skies. Okay? You want it to look realistic. We're trying to make this look as real as possible. So you can see over here my paint, my red paint started to dry. So when I went to put that in with my violet, it's a little strong. So I'm just going to kind of go back over it with a little bit of red. We don't want stripes. We don't want a bullseye. We want to see those colors in the sky. So, here's kind of how I started it. And it is a little bit wet, so it's shiny. There we go. So you guys can kind of see how I've got just the different colors in the sky. That's what you're focusing on. You don't want to have stripes, you don't want to have a bullseye, you do want it to look realistic, and you have to be careful when you go to pick it up or you'll end up with fingerprints. So if you need help, let me know, but this should be a pretty good start for you guys on the sky.